All right, family, we're going to do this real quick. I call this quick video here the rebuttal. As of now, you might see a lot of the, Christian scholars that's coming against the Hebraic faith. Some of it's the reason, because of the One West camps. But and another reason is really because of damage control, because you have so many people that are leaving Christianity for whatsoever reason, and one of the main reasons that people are leaving it is because of people waking up to the Hebraic roots and going back to the Hebraic way of culturally wise of walking things out in the faith. So we having a lot of this new wave of Christian scholars that's just coming, trying to control that. But the problem is, a lot of them are just really studying this maybe about a year because they're just really finding out about this and what's going on, and you can tell that they're not well studied. We've been studying this for a while. A lot of us been on 10-year journeys, 7-year journey, 8-year journeys, 20-year journeys. We've been looking into this before it became well known to the Christian world. So a lot of their rebuttals now, to the untrained eye seems well, but to somebody that have studied this and handled objections and rebuttals, it's nothing different. It's nothing new. So now I'm gonna show you, because now they're having conferences on how to handle Israelites or how to rebuttal Israelites or things of that nature. So what we're going to do, the brother Moray Ron Shields went to one of their conferences, and we're going to look at some of the things that he said, and then we're just going to rebuttal it. It ain't going to take a long time. We're just going to rebuttal it and knock it out the box. All right, so now let's go to the video so you guys can see what we heard. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Maybe I gotta put that down. Bring it up this way. Yeah. All right. So let's listen in. See if I can make this full screen. We're gonna listen to this main rebuttals.
I want to hit that Deuteronomy 28 piece. Okay, I want to hit that real quick, and I gotta hit it real fast. Turn into your Bible. Turn in your Bible to Deuteronomy 28.
Now notice what verse he start on. He'll start on 1. He's going to skip straight.
I apologize that we have gone over time, but I want let's start at 36 because we can't possibly go through all.
You know what? You can fully understand this by starting at verse 36, but there's a reason he went there. Because that's his first jab.
I'm going to have to get a stronger description.
He skipped over everything else that identifies.
All right. So the Lord will bring you and your king that you have appointed to a nation neither you or your fathers have known, and there you will worship of the gods of wood and of stone. All right, you see that, right? Now this is the same prophecy that ultimately culminates in 68, talking about the slave ship that returned to Egypt. But see, this is exactly why you got to put context around anything that you interpret.
So how he gonna talk about the context, and he went straight to 36 and then start at the beginning to break it down so you can see what the context is.
He tells them that in your captivity, in your exile, your king is going to be exiled with you. Does anybody know which king came on the slave ships?
Tous ces l'ouverture.
Does anybody know who that is? Okay, so no king historically was on the slave ships with the slaves.
Yes.
Right? Anybody can throw a name out, but does anybody know who that is? No.
Bookman. Tous ces l'ouverture.
So the reality is, now I'm going to tell you where it was fulfilled. It was fulfilled in 2 Kings 25, 1 through 7, when the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, carried Judah into captivity. King Zedekiah was carried away in captivity
All right, so notice this. I don't know why my video jumping, but notice this. And you'll hear this a lot with the Christian scholars, um, that things of Deuteronomy chapter 28 was already fulfilled in the scriptures. You hear them start saying that it was fulfilled in Jeremiah times to the Babylonian, different things like that, as if there is one fulfillment. That lets you know there that they not fully studying this thing, because if they fully studied it, they'll go across the scriptures that show that this will be something continual throughout the Israelites' generation. So one fulfillment doesn't mean that in totality that's fulfilled, because they're supposed to have multiple fulfillments, because the covenant was not just made with the fathers, but it was made with everybody inside of the fathers. It was made with their generation. So these are the type of things that will befall prophetically the generation. So if it's had one fulfillment, because the way you can easily rebuttal that, if you see two fulfillments of the same prophecy, that kills what they try to say that has already been fulfilled. But I can show you multiple fulfillments, and we'll see that.
The Chaldean army pursued him, overtook him in the plains of Jericho. Zedekiah's entire army left him and scattered. The Chaldeans seized the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon at Riblah, and they passed sentence on him. They slaughtered Zedekiah's sons before his eyes. Finally, the king of Babylon blinded Zedekiah, bound him in bronze chains, and watch this, and took him to Babylon. That is when it was fulfilled. Verse 53, the text says that part of what would happen is that they would also eat their children. In Lamentations 4:10, it said that in the Babylonian captivity, Jewish women had gotten so hungry and so famished and desperate that they boiled their children and ate them.
And jump straight to the eating of the children. As if that only had one fulfillment.
Have you heard about Black Americans that came over from the West Coast? Have you heard about stories of cannibalism? No, because we weren't eating our children.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you can find some information if you dig
Verse 63
on that, but I probably
here's another thing that it says.
You ain't got to go search for no king.
This verse is
You
game
got to
over.
go
And we
search for
got the 68.
when they ate their children.
It says they would be
I'm sure you how to handle that without.
You would be plucked out of your own land. The land, watch this, that I'm giving you to possess. At the time that Yahweh is saying this, they have not yet inherited the land of Canaan, but they are going to. And yet the prophecy says that was the land that they were going to be plucked out of. Not Africa, Israel. Eretz Yisrael, the land that they were going to be plucked out of and brought as slaves to Egypt was the land of Israel, not Africa. It's already game over on
He jumped to
63.
63 and said they were supposed to be plucked out the land of Israel and not Africa. So it doesn't.
But then when we get to
So we're
68,
gonna handle that too.
it says the Lord said that he would bring
Then he
them
jumped to 68. We're not gonna handle
back to
68
Egypt
on
in
this one.
ships.
I could, but I
Now,
don't
watch
want to
this.
make it real long.
Listen to this. I want you to listen
So I
really,
give you
really.
some information on how to
I
handle
don't know if you can listen.
28 and 68. Let's keep pausing, man. Let's see what's going on.
Slow, so maybe I need to say it slow.
Please.
Listen. The text says, and I will bring you back. Watch now. Back. Everybody say back. To Egypt.
In
The place that I delivered you from. Watch this. In order for the transatlantic
Red was
slave trade
upset.
to be a fulfillment of this.
He asked for his
Pay close
questions
attention.
from the seat.
In order for that to happen, BHI would have to reinterpret history and show that so-called black Jews brought to America the spiritual Egypt was actually not just simply being brought here, but being brought here again. And we would have to show from history that we were already slaves in America at a previous early day and were delivered.
No.
That's what we would have to show.
No.
Because the text says, I will bring you back to Egypt, the place that I delivered you from.
House of bondage.
And so if coming here is supposedly Egypt, when were we slaves here before?
That's a terrible argument.
Anybody know a date? And not just when were we slaves here, but when were we delivered as slaves and then brought back to our own land only to be brought back here again?
I want y'all to understand what he just said. His argument was, he said, if Egypt is America, and he said, I will bring you back to Egypt again, he's saying, what period of time were we in America initially and then have to be brought back to America is Egypt, in order to fulfill the curses? So he's saying that you have to reinterpret history or rewrite history if you make America Egypt, saying that we was originally enslaved there in antiquity and have to be a slave again, which is a crazy argument. When you read the text and understand the context of what is being said, where they're coming from, and what Egypt represented, because the Israelites didn't call the land of Egypt, they call it Mizraim because of their experience there. And when you look up the word Mizraim, you'll see what it denotes, which is distress or straits. And anything with mitzar means straits or distress, and the ra'im in Hebrew that's added to it means double. So, well, I break that down another time. But let's just keep hearing what he said. But I just wanted to make sure you understood what he said, which was a bad argument to be a scholar.
When you take scriptures out of context, it sounds easy until we put the pressure of context back in there. And it's not so easy to explain it away. I'll say this, and I'm out of time on this segment. Hebrew Israelites say that the place that they were taken from is a place called Oweda.
Now we're gonna
it is spelled Xweda. It is in Benin. It's pronounced Oweda. The French pronounced it Ouida. Right? That's how they pronounced it. Because they had colonized it at one point. But eventually the hands of the colonizers changed and the Portuguese came in. And the Portuguese, it was kind of one of those shibboleth kind of moments. They couldn't say shibboleth, so they could only say sibboleth. Remember that story? Y'all better go read it. That's how they caught them trying to cross the brook. The dialect gave it away. Say shibboleth. Get this imposter out of here. So the Portuguese could not say Oweda or Ouida. They could not say it. Their tongues could not pronounce it. So here's how they pronounce Oweda or Ouida. They pronounced it Ashuna. This is historical. Ashuna or Ashuna. This has led to the revisionistic historical idea that black people had basically resettled Benin after their tribal name in Judah. But the reality is that there is no etymological relationship between Oweda, which is Yoruba for help, and the pronunciation of Judah. That was a mispronunciation means praise. Oweda in Yoruba means help. There was no etymological relationship between the two. And the only thing that makes it sound like we're talking about Judah was the inability of the Portuguese to say Oweda, so they could say Ajita. And so that watch now, that led Wentworth Arthur Matthew to say, oh, we were Jews, we were from the tribe of Judah, and we settled Benin and named it Judah because that's who we really were. That's where he got the idea. All right.
All right. So you heard that now. He said all was etymology of the word and people misunderstanding the word and they couldn't pronounce the word and the word sounded similar to Judah. So this is why they think that the Israelites of West Africa went and settled in Judah. Okay, we're going to destroy that because we're going to hear what the Portuguese and what they said themselves about the people that was in their land, in that land. All right, so that's it. That's enough of that. That's about as much as I could take. So now let's go ahead and get into rebuttaling this. It ain't gonna take us real long, but that's what you get when you sound educated, but you ain't saying nothing, and it really shows your ignorance. It really shows you, and that's why you have to just stay in your field. Don't try to come over here because you're gonna make yourself look bad. But like I said, I don't really know who the I don't know if he a pastor or the brother was, but he should have took some more time. So let me show you how to handle this. Okay, so his major objections to Deuteronomy 28 was Deuteronomy 28 and 36. And notice he jumped straight to 36. And like we ain't heard this before. It says, what king went into captivity? We're going to handle that. Deuteronomy 28 and 53, talking about the eating of the children, was fulfilled in Lamentations. We're going to handle that. And Deuteronomy 28, 63, which states we shall be plucked out the land of Israel, not Africa. Another rebuttal was Negroes, the land of Waida, and it's not Judah. And then he went to Deuteronomy 28. That's the only one that I'm not going to mess with in this video. But I will send you some information on that. But I'm going to tell you what you don't have to do to answer this. You don't have to go look for a king that was in captivity. So, naturally, you would think, they was taking people from West Africa that a king probably got caught up in it. Now, I did talk to some people that grew up in West Africa and got the oral tradition. They say the kings, to their understanding, two major guys that grew up there, that's fifth and sixth generation Israelites that grew up there with oral tradition to understand. They did tell me that from their understanding, the kings were heavily protected. So they wasn't caught up in the transatlantic slave trade, or they will fight to their death. So I did hear that. But that's not negating though, because they might just ain't hear or see when a king did go into captivity. You can only think that, but you don't have to go look for a king. I'm gonna show you that. You don't have to go try to find out about them being plucked off of Israel rather than Africa. I'm gonna show you how to handle it. It's real easy. Watch this. This verse right here is key. Mark this. It's key to identifying Israel and to handling these objections. I'm just going to read it, then I'm going to break it down to show you, because it was also said that Deuteronomy 28 is not a way to identify Israel. Watch this. It says, so all these curses shall come upon you and shall pursue you and overtake you. That line right there would kill every objection he just said. I'm going to show you how. So all these curses, watch what they shall do. They're going to come upon you. Then they're going to pursue you and overtake you until you be destroyed, because you did not obey the Lord your God by keeping his commandments, his statutes, which he commanded you. And watch what they shall do. And they shall become a sign. What is the day? These curses or these consequences shall become a sign and a wonder on you, which is the fathers, and not just you, but your descendants forever. So this is something it's going to be identifiable on these people, on the fathers and the descendants. So one fulfillment of it is not the fulfillment in totality, because it's supposed to be on the fathers and their children. And this is why the Most High said, even in Exodus 20, concerning the Ten Commandments, that I visit the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So watch, when you look this word sign up, in the Hebrew it's oath, from the Strong's H225, in a sense of appearing. It's a signal. So these things would be a signal, literally or figuratively. It should be a flag, which identifies some, a signal identifies some, a flag, a beacon identifies something, a monument identifies something, an omen, a prodigy, evidence, a mark, miracle, sign, a token. All these things are identifiers. So to say you can't identify Israel from Deuteronomy 28 is a straight up lie, because every other thing in eschatology you identify are based off its characteristics. When we're trying to figure out who Babylon the Great is, we use characteristics. When we identify who the Arabs is, who all these other type of things. But watch what it says. It says, they shall become a evidence or a monument or a signal, a beacon or a flag, and a wonder on you. So these things, all that is saying that these are identifiers. So for anybody to come tell you it's not, they have an agenda behind what they're saying, because scripture just validates that. Not only are they a sign, but they're a wonder. You look the word wonder up, it's Strong's H4159, which is a wonder or a sign, a miracle, or wonder at is an amazing thing. That's what they saying what happened. So they shall be upon you. What is the day? These curses shall be upon you for a signal, a flag, a beacon, a monument, or evidence, which is big time dagger, and in amazement, and to be upon your descendants. So let's keep moving. So let's see. First, you have to see again, how do these things identify the children? Can you use Deuteronomy 28 to identify? Yes, you can, because the covenant was not made with just the fathers, but it was made with their descendants. Let's prove this. We just proved it through Deuteronomy 28, 45 and 46. Now let's look at Deuteronomy 29 and 10. You stand here this day, all of you, before the Lord your God, your captains, your tribes, your elders, your officers, all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, your stranger that is in thy camp, the who of the wood and the draw of the water, that thou shalt enter into the covenant with the Lord thy God, and to his oath which the Lord thy God maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee a day for a people unto himself, that he may be unto thee a God, as he hath said unto thee, and as he hath sworn to thy fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Watch this. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord your God, and also with him that is not here. Now let's look at the New Living Translations to see that verse 15, 14, and 15 a little clearer. Who is the not here? Their descendants. Let's prove it. But you are not the only ones with whom I am making this covenant with its curses. I'm making this covenant both with you who stand here today in the presence of the Lord your God, and also with the future generations who are standing here today also. So this letting you know a one-time fulfillment is not the fulfillment in totality, because it supposed to happen to the fathers, which happened in Assyria and Babylon in the book of Judges, and also supposed to happen to the children, which come all the way down to us. Let's prove this even more. Deuteronomy 29. Deuteronomy 30. As you can read it there, Deuteronomy 30 and 19. I call to heaven and to earth to witness against you to the day that I have set before you life and death, blessing and a curse. So you choose life in order that you may live, you and your descendants may live. This is showing you that it's not just dealing with the father, but it's dealing with the descendants also. So at one time, fulfillment means nothing because it's continuous. Now, let's handle these objections. This verse right here will handle it all. That's why you have to read and listen, like Pastor Kelly say, with intelligence. Seek to understand. A lot of Ruach to show you. Watch how the Most High broke this thing down. Now we already showed that it's with the descendants, but watch how the category of the curses. Watch this. Verse 45. So all these curses shall come upon you and pursue you and overtake you till you be destroyed. So what does it mean to come upon you? To come upon you curses are the land curses. Some curses are only going to be specific to the land. When you're outside of the land, it's a different group of curses that's going to follow you. But when you in this land and you break my covenant, these are the specifics that's going to happen to you being in the land of Israel. The specifics. And then when you outside of the land, these are the curses that's going to pursue you and overtake you. And it's all in Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26. So you got curses that's going to hit you while you're in the land, that's specific to the land. And then you got curses that's going to hit you when you're scattered, that's going to pursue you and overtake you. So, with that being said, that's enough information right there to give you to destroy. But let's look at some of these and let's prove what we're saying. In Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 26. Let's prove what we're saying here. And let's read, I call the heaven and the earth to witness against you this day, that you soon shall utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye shall go, join to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall be utterly destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, where you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where the Lord shall lead you. So notice one of the things that's going to happen in the land, that you'll be plucked off of the land where you were given, and after a plucking from out of the land, you'll be scattered. And you'll see that. Deuteronomy 28 and 63, it says, it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and multiply you, so the Lord rejoiced over you to destroy you and bring you to naught. And ye shall be what? Plucked off of the land where the Lord thy gods have possessed it. And there, watch that, after you get plucked, you scattered. And the Lord your God shall scatter thee among the people from one end of the earth even to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which you neither you nor your father. See, that's one of the curses that's going to follow you, that you're going to serve other gods, even wood and stone, when you are plucked off the land. So this is showing you what was going to happen. All right, so let's look at some of the land curses. Some of the land curses is being besieged. You will be besieged. And because of that besiege, and you can look at Deuteronomy 28, 53 through 57, from that, you'll be in famine in that land. When you start breaking this covenant, you're going to be in famine. And from that famine, you're going to be eating your children. You're going to be doing different things. So you look at Deuteronomy 28 and 53, Leviticus 26 and 29, 2 Kings 6 and 29, Lamentations 2 and 11. All these things are fulfillment of curses that happened to them when they was in the land, when they was besieged, and it was famine. Y'all excuse my baby waking up. And it was famine. And notice it wasn't one time in Lamentations, but it happened also again in Kings. And it happened again in 70 AD. So it's not a one-time fulfillment. And each time it happened with their children, they were in the land. You break the covenant because of the famine, you're going to have pestilence in the land, and you're going to be killed, and you're going to be plucked off of the land, you and your king. So all these are specific curses to the land. If you have a king in the land, and y'all are defiling the land and defiling my covenant, you and your king going to be carried into captivity. That's going to be famine to such a great level while you're in the land that you're going to get to the point where you're eating your children. And we see that through different times. We have seen that happen while they were in the land because those curses were specific to the land, not the scattering. So this did not have to happen in the scattering because it was fulfilled in the land when our people was there. So one time fulfillment means nothing because you got to look at the people and see in their history when did this happen. So we see that these different time fulfillments, and these are the curses that happen. It says it will come upon you. When it means come upon you means when you're in the land of Israel. This is why it hasn't been another scattering since what Messiah, since the transatlantic slave trade, from especially from out of the land, because the wrong people are there now, and they're defiling the land, but they didn't get scattered because they didn't come into that covenant. So this is why the Jewish people, even though they defiling the land, ain't getting scattered because they are not in covenant with them. But if we was in the land doing those things, the curses that are specific to the land will be coming upon us. Let's keep going. Let's look at this and show you. So the besieged, famine, pestilence, being killed by the sword, and plucked up by the land. Again, you can read in 70 AD, the Josephus, and he'll tell you the same thing that have already been fulfilled in Second Kings and in Lamentations happened again in 70 AD. And guess what? They were in the land of Israel. Let's keep moving. Jeremiah 21:7. Let's just prove this. What I'm saying. Watch how the scripture proves what I'm saying to be true. And afterwards said the Most High, I delivered Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his servants and the people, and the such that are left in the city. Watch, when I plucked them off the land, that's a land curse. But watch what happens to those that are left in the city. Watch, there are the cursing that are upon the land. It says, from the city, the pestilence, which we said, the sword, down by the edge of the sword, and famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, into the hand of them that seek their life. And he shall smite down with the edge of the sword. He shall smite down with the edge of the sword, and he shall not spare them, neither will he have pity, nor have mercy on them. Let's keep reading. Verse 8. And unto this people thou shalt say, thus the Lord, behold, I have set before you a way of life and a way of death. Watch this. Land curses, verse 9. He that abideth in the city shall die by the sword, and by famine, and by pestilence. But he that go out will fall into the Chaldeans that besiege you. So we see right there lands curses. Besiege, pestilence, falling by the sword, and famine. And he shall live, and his life shall be unto him a prey. For I have set my face against this city for evil, and not for good, saith the Most High. And it shall be given unto the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. Another thing about the land is being burned with fire. We can see that happen again in 70 AD. Let's look at Ezekiel 5. Again, we just looked at a climax with fire. Let's look at Ezekiel 5 with the Most High, what he told Ezekiel to do with his beard to represent Israel. And you're going to see land curses and scattering curses right here. Now, son of man, take a sharp sword. Use it as a barber's razor to shave your head and your beard. Then take a set of scales and divide up the hair. When the days of your siege come to an end, burn a third of the hair inside the city. Take a third and strike it with a sword around the city, and scatter a third of it to the wind. For I pursue them with a drawn sword. Pursue them, which is curses of a drawn sword. Verse 3, but take a few hairs and tuck them away in the folds of your garment. Again, take a few of these and throw them into the fire and burn them up. A fire was spread from there to all of Israel. Let's keep reading. This is what the sovereign Yahuwah says. This is Jerusalem, which I have set in the center of the nations, with countries all around her. Yet in her wickedness she has rebelled against my laws and decrees of my nations and countries around her. She has rejected my laws and have not followed my decrees. Verse 7, therefore is what the sovereign Elohim says, you have been more unruly than the nations around you and have not followed my decrees or kept my laws. You have not even conformed to my standards of the nations around you. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Yah says, I myself am against you, Jerusalem. I will inflict punishment on you in the sight of the nations. Because of all your detestable idols, I will do to you what I have never done before and will never do again. Therefore, in the midst parents will, in the midst, which is in the land, parents will eat their children, and children will eat their parents. I will inflict punishment on you, and scatter you, all your survivors, to the winds. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Elohim, because you have defiled my sanctuaries with all your vile images and detestable practices, I myself will shave you. I would look on you with pity and spare you. I will not look upon you with pity and spare you. And a third of your people will die by the plague and perish by the famine inside of you. And a third will fall by the sword outside of the walls. And a third will be scattered to the winds and pursue with a drawn sword. So we see it right here. A third of you or people would die of plague and or perish by famine inside of you, which is inside of the land. And a third of you will fall by the sword outside of your walls, falling by the sword, still talking about land curses. And a third of you will scatter. Well, I scatter. And watch what's going to follow the people that get scattered, which follow us, to the winds and pursue with a drawn sword. So you have to look then at what are the curses that pursued the Israelites. Not land curses, but that pursued, because every curse he brought up were land curses. But they wasn't supposed to pursue us. We got curses that pursued us because what? This follows our generation no matter where we at. So they should come upon you and pursue us and overtake us. It don't matter where we at on a planet, this was going to happen to us. Verse 13, then my anger will cease and my wrath against them will subside. Thank the Most High for that, because we are in that time period where this is happening. It said, then my anger will cease and my wrath will subside, and I will be avenged. And I would have spent my wrath on them, and they would know that I, Yahuwah, have spoken in my zeal. So we see that. I hope we see that. So the scattering of Israel according to the covenant. The prophesied scatterings, you can go to Deuteronomy 28 and 25 again. I like to say, I'm sorry, I'm here with my little baby here, so you might hear her in the background. So she's doing her thing. But Deuteronomy 28 and 25, Deuteronomy 32 and 26, Ezekiel 20 and 23, Deuteronomy 4 and 27, Deuteronomy 28 and 64, Isaiah 22 and 17 through 18. All these are prophesied scatterings. So it's certain curses supposed to follow us, and we're going to go over that. But the first scattering or captivity was in Judges. It wasn't Assyria. This lets you know that this is a continuous thing of curses that follow us, of the covenant that follow us. Watch Judges 2. Just read the book of Judges and you can see every time that the Israelites broke the covenant, the Most High would send a nation in to come get them. They would cry out and do better, then he'll raise up somebody to save them. Watch Judges 2 and 14. And the anger of the Most High was against Israel, and he gave them to the hands of plunderers, who plundered them. And he had sold them into the hands of their enemies around them, so they could no longer stand before their enemies. So he gave them over. He plundered them, and he sold them to their enemies. So we see that this is something that happened not too far after Joshua brought the children of Israel into the land. They start messing up, and the things that was prophesied to them start happening. So it's not, if you show me a fulfillment in Babylon, I will look at you crazy and show you that this is something that continuously happened throughout our generation. And we'll see that. We see the happen in Judges, then we see Assyria came and got the northern kingdom, the Babylon came and got Judah, then the Persians came and got us, then the Greek came and got us, and then Rome came and got us. And then after all these captivities, notice that the Messiah came in Luke 21 and 20, and he prophesied another captivity, that we was going to be led captive into all nations, and Jerusalem was going to be trampled down. Hush, girl. Jerusalem was going to be trampled down by Gentiles. So we see that captivities was going to even happen. So the American captivity was nothing but another captivity that was prophesied. But what happened over here to us were curses that was supposed to pursue us in our scattering. Ain't that right, move? I know you hear. That right ain't. All right, Deuteronomy 28 and 45. Let's look at these curses. So all the curses shall come upon you and pursue you and overtake you. So now let's look at curses that will pursue you and overtake you. You look at this on your own time, pause it. But you got psychological curses. Deuteronomy 28 and 65 through 66 through 67. Deuteronomy 28 and 26. Deuteronomy 28, 30 through 34. Deuteronomy 28, 32. Deuteronomy 28, 41. Joel 3, 1 through 3. Talking about our children being given away. Leviticus 26 and 36. What we would face being escapes and runaways. Psychological curses. Leviticus 26, 14 and 16. I will appoint of you terrorism, consumption of the eye, sorrow, heart. Leviticus 26, 14 through 21. Those that hate you will reign over you. Deuteronomy 28 and 48. A yoke of iron been across your neck. Economic curses that pursued us. Deuteronomy 28, 23, 28 and 30, 28, 16 through 19, 28, 47 through 48, 28, 43 through 48. The stranger getting up above us. The curse of lost nationality and cultures. Jeremiah 17 and 4. Deuteronomy 32, 26, Isaiah 5, 13, Isaiah 1, 3, Deuteronomy 28 and 29, Deuteronomy 28, 37, Psalms 140, Psalms 44, 12 and 14, Isaiah 44, 1 through 5, Isaiah 45 and 4. All these are curses that are supposed to pursue us. Let's keep going. The curse of religion, Deuteronomy 28 and 64, us being under every religion under the sun. Curse of disease, Deuteronomy 28, 60, Deuteronomy 28, 22, Deuteronomy 28, 61. Our precious dominion, and show you the mindset of what our oppressors would be. Psalms 83, Micah 2 and 2, Zechariah 11 and 5, Joel 3, 4 through 6, Psalm 49, 10 through 12, Jeremiah 22 and 13. We experience everything over here. We experience how our oppressors would be over here. The mindset of them is prophesied in the scripture. Laws that would be against us in the land of our captivity. Isaiah 42 and 22. Isaiah 45 and 4. Leviticus 26, 17 through 18. The breakdown of the family. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. Deuteronomy 28 and 56 and 57. Isaiah 3 and 12 that talks about that our women would be leading us and our children would be our oppressors. Talking about single family homes. Isaiah 3, 16 through 24 talk about our sisters, how they would be. Isaiah 51 and 20 talk about our sons being on the street corner. All these things supposed to follow us, and it did happen. So we see that you had curses that were specific for the land. Let's read it. So all these curses shall come upon you, land curses, and shall pursue you, scattering curses, and overtake you while you're in your captivity, until you be destroyed, because you will not obey the Lord your God and keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you this day. And they shall become a evidence, a beacon, a flag, a monument, something to identify you by, and amazement. They shall be upon you and your what? Offspring, descendants, seed, forever. So we just handled all three of them objections that he had with that. Now let's handle the thing that he said about Negro land. It ain't that hard. They playing catch up, and we've been doing this a while. So let's handle that real quick. Let me see if I can get to it. Our brother Josh, Pastor Josh Cullins, he handled this in the video right here. Let me try to blow it up so you can hear it. And we're going to see, was this brother telling the truth? Was it just about the missing understanding of the language? Let me see. Sorry, y'all, I'm kind of doing this on the fly, so hopefully everything will play right.
Brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
All right. I'm trying to get it. I don't know why I done paused on it.
Sub-Saharan West Africa is an interesting place, especially a little place called the Slave Coast, in which the slave traders called Negro Land. As you can see, the area of the Slave Coast was called Wahida. And if you look right above it, in English are the words Kingdom of Judah. This is the port where the so-called African or Negro American was taken. Also to the British Islands, South America, and Europe. This area was called Kingdom of Judah. Well, maybe they just called it that, like a nickname or something. But actual Hebrews didn't live there. Well, let's take a look. This is from Press and Bulletin's magazine. Language Doc from the Society of Geography. Wahida, also called Fida, Huida, Uida, Judah or Judah, is an ancient city frequented since the 16th century by Portuguese slave traders who gave it its name. Its inhabitants were said were Judaic and were viewed as the remnant of the scattered tribes of Israel. This quote is from Creole, New Orleans, Race and Americanization by Arnold R. Hirsch and Joseph Logston. Between June 1719 and January 1731, 16 slave trading ships arrived in Louisiana from the Senegal region. 6 ships came from Judah, Wida, a slave trading post. Between February 1726 and January 1731, 12 slave ships from Senegal landed. 3,259 slaves at Belize at the mouth of the Mississippi River. During the same period, 1 ship from Judah landed 464 slaves at the same port. The African slaves brought to the Chesapeake during the 18th century came mainly from the Bight of Biafra and were heavily Igbo. Here's a couple more quotes from The Earth and Its Inhabitants, the Universal Geography. East of the Great Popo begins the Dahomey territory, guarded by the important town of Gluia, known to Europeans by various names, Fida, Havida, Wahida, Ouida. The old writers called it Judah, and its inhabitants were said to be the Jews. During the flourishing days of the slave trade from 16 to 18,000 were annually transported from Judah, as the Portuguese called this place, which at that time had a population of 35,000. Part of the local trade is in the hands of the Mavumbas, a people of grave and solemn aspect with intelligent eyes, straight or even eloquent nose, whose pronounced Semitic type have earned them the Portuguese designation of Judos Pretos, or Black Jew. I don't know how much more proof you need, but I'm going to give you some more. Who by chance financed and organized these Portuguese slave traders who discovered the Kingdom of Judah on the slave coast? Meet Aaron Lopez, born Duarte Lopez. He was a Jewish Portuguese slave trader. Through his varied commercial ventures, he became the wealthiest person in Newport, Rhode Island, in British America in 1761 and 1762. Lopez expanded his trade beyond the North American coastline by 1757. He had major interests in the West Indian slave trade. He also sent ships to Europe and the Canary Islands between 1761 and 1774. As we established earlier, it was the Murano Jews who controlled the slave trade, which some were Portuguese and Dutch. It was written on their maps that the slave coast was actually the Judeans of Israel, or Yehuda. So that would mean that they would have some info about the sub-Saharan Africans, right? This is a quote from Stephen Jacobs, European Jewish historian, from his book, The Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa, fully documented. Black Americans are now in a position as never before in modern history to rediscover and reclaim, if they wish, a heritage which has profoundly influenced world history and mankind, the Hebrew heritage of Black Africa. So since we've established, without dispute, that not only did the true Israelites flee into sub-Saharan Africa, but that the scripture also agrees that the dispersed of Israel are beyond the rivers of Cush, and from there were transported as slaves into every nation, not for the first time, but actually the third time around. The first time and the second times were in the known world, the third time into the new world. And seeing that it was by the witness of 2 or 3 that every word is established according to scripture, That would be right on the nose. Now, the last thing we need to consider is the Ashkenazi and Sephardic Jewish location.
So
since 98% of the people who claim to be,
just, like you said, he just handled that. And that was real easy. It's really wasn't hard. But like I said, they gonna get in trouble. And I just give you a bonus for those that need more information on what Explorer said, just to back up what you believe. This is a video just that we did, same video. It's just 9 minutes of just straight evidence about West Africa. I'm gonna throw this in there. We're gonna close it out with this. If I can get it to come up. We're gonna close out of this. And again, I'm sorry this ain't organized like that. It's kind of on the fly. Just want to kind of just give you the information. Like I said, I'm not gonna post this up. I'm just gonna let the people in the ministry and different ones check it out, and see it. And like I said, so you can have an answer for when you're tried by what you believe. Right now, we're just sitting back and letting them hang themselves. But I'm just showing our people, how to handle these objections. They really ain't hard to handle. Let's see if we got that going.
else knew about these Hebrews being in West Africa. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem. In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son, Titus, put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governments of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing the Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. From Babylon to Timbuktu, by Rudolph R. Windsor. The 16th century historian and traveler, Leon Africanus, was a Hebrew-speaking Jewish convert to Islam, raised in a Jewish household by Jewish parents of Moroccan descent. Leon Africanus traveled extensively in Africa south of the Sahara, where he encountered innumerable black African Jewish communities. Let me say it again. Where he encountered innumerable black African Jewish communities. Leon later converted to Catholicism, but remained interested in Jewish communities where he encountered throughout his travels in West Africa. This is a quote from his book, The Description of Africa. Albeit, they say that upon the Nilus, or the Nile, you will inhabit two great and populous nations. One of Jews toward the west, under a government of a mighty king. Leo Africanus, The Description of Africa, Volume 1, page 32. Ibn Kulahan, who lived in the 13th century, a respected authority on Berber history, testified the black Jews of Western Sudan, with whom he personally interacted. Also, the famous Muslim geographer El-Drisi, born in Ceuta, Spain, in the 12th century, wrote extensively about Jewish Negroes in the Western Sudan. Black Jews were fully integrated and achieved preeminence in many West African kingdoms. For instance, the Jews were believed to have settled in great West African empires such as Songhai, Mali, Ghana, and Kanem-Borno empires. According to numerous accounts of contemporary visitors to the region, several rulers and administrators of the Songhai Empire were of Jewish origins, until Askia Muhammad came to power in 1492 and decreed that all Jews either convert to Islam or leave the region. Some accounts place some West African Jewish community in the Ondo Forest of Nigeria, south of Timbuktu. This community maintained a Torah scroll as late as in the 1930s, written in Aramaic, that had been burnt into a parchment with a hot iron instead of ink, so it could not be changed. See, going with Fika, the quest of the lost 10 tribes of Israel to the ends of the earth. This quote is from The Travels of Ludovico di Varmitha, in Egypt, Syria, Arabia Desert, and Arabia Felix, in Persia, India, and Ethiopia AD, 1503, 1508. At the end of 8 days, we found a mountain which appeared to be 10 or 12 miles in circumference, in which mountain there dwell 4,000 or 5,000 Jews, who go naked and are in height 5 or 6 spans and have a feminine voice, and are more black than any other color. They live entirely on the flesh of sheep and eat nothing else. They are circumcised and confess that they are Jews. These quotes are from The Earth and Its Inhabitants, The Universal Geography by Alice Recoulis. The Mandingans were now broken up into many rival petty states or excellent husbandmen, but display their remarkable talents chiefly as traders. They have been compared to the Soroklis, the Jews of West Africa. This quote is from Hebrews, Hebrew Exiles from Israel, Amazing Facts from Revelations. The first British explorers who met the Hebrews of Nigeria were quick to identify them as a branch of Hebrews, based in 1938, and so simply referred to them as Hebrews, Hebos, Ebos, and later Ebus. But during the time of the first documentation of the history of the Ebus, the early Ebus, who knew very little or no English, following the pronunciation of the new version of their original name by their colonial masters, deviated from the name Ivite Agluri, from Ivert, Ifite, or Ihite, and began to use the popular new and foreign language of the colonialists, and so referred to themselves as Hebo, a corruption of Hebrew, or an accepted to be called Hebo, Ebo, or Ebu, as a way of associating themselves with the emergent new culture of their colonial masters. Ebos, Hebrew exiles from Israel. Amazing Facts and Revelations, Chapter 7, Jewish Origin of the Ebus, Perspectives from History and Divine Revelation. Before the British dubbed the Ebus as Hebrews and later Ebus, their original name that they called themselves was Ivrit. Why is this important? Because the word Hebrew is actually not Hebrew, but an English word for the descendants of Abraham. The true pronunciation is Ivrit. It's estimated that over 60% of African Americans have at least one Igbo ancestor. The Igbos are among the largest segment of Hebrews. Dr. Professor Alfred Bodenheimer attests to this truth. British rabbis were already aware in the 1840s that there might be descendants of the 10 tribes in the Niger Delta. That is even before the process of Jewish acceptance of Beta Israel, or the Ethiopian Jews, began. Evidently, though the Igbos, who today number about 20 to 30 million people, would be political and demographic dynamite, given the sheer number of potential Jews in Nigeria, it is no accident to see that Israeli authorities are hesitant to act, even as non-Orthodox rabbis from the U.S. are undertaking full-scale missionary tours among the Igbo. Many rabbis attest to the Hebrew heritage of the Igbo, including activist Rabbi Brant Rosen. This is from his article on the Igbo, Teshuvah, and the resiliency of the Jewish spirit. After participating in a congregational delegation to Africa this past spring, I had found profound desire to spend a longer period of time there on my summer sabbatical. As I searched for the best possible way to serve as a volunteer rabbi, I found my way to Kulanu, who informed me they had been long interested in sending a volunteer rabbi to Nigeria. Upon further conversation, I received an extensive education on the Igbo tribe, a large Nigerian tribe of 40 million, whose clans trace their lineage to the lost tribes of Israel. For many years, both Igbo and Western scholars have noted the striking similarities between the native Igbo customs and the Israelite tradition. Today, the Igbo are almost entirely Christian, having been throughout missionized by the British, but they nonetheless retain a strong sense of kinship with the Jewish people. Over the last decade or so, an astonishing phenomenon has developed, a Jewish rebirth of sorts, occurring throughout the Igbo community. Synagogues have been forming spontaneously throughout Nigeria, along through the tending growth of Hebrew and Torah study. As I am continuing to realize, much of the traditional Jewish self-image has been marked by a decidedly white, Eurocentric bias. When the Moravian church missionaries came to the West Indies and encountered the Igbo slaves, they gave an interesting account.
Like you said, go look at the video for the rest of it. But
whereas the Igbos do not tolerate one uncircumcised slave among them. Only when he is circumcised do they accept him in as worthy of human company.
You can go back and look at our video on West Africa. It's on the page. And We got evidence upon evidence, man. Like I said, that's why, like I said, we ain't got, time for a whole bunch of, foolishness. It's those guys, I guess they mean well for what they're trying to do, against some of the One West camps. But when you come against the faith overall, then we all got to get involved. So again, like I said, this really wasn't that difficult. Just wanted to break these things down, give you that information, and that is it. So you just go back and look back over the information, but it's all there. Again, it's the difference between land curses and scattering curses, and it handles every rebuttal. All right, shalom, family.